Hello, welcome everybody to Reclaim Power's final public presentations of our cohort from this year. I'm so excited to start today. And before we begin, I'm just going to take a moment to acknowledge the land from which I am joining you. I am right now on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Chippewas, and Mississaugas First Nations, who have stewarded this place with care, wisdom, and reciprocity for generations. And I honor their ongoing presence, their sovereignty, and the histories that shape our ability to gather today. And since I have relatives all over the world, including everybody in this amazing group, I am always thinking about how colonialism has created so many of the problems we seek to address in the world and how it affects Indigenous people every day, and how I, as a settler Canadian, and British citizen, can do better and try to also connect back with my own roots so that I have a good, strong foundation to address colonialism and to decolonize from. And I welcome decolonization, divestment in all of my spaces in order to promote global healing. And I invite each of you to also take a moment to just recognize the land you're on as well, and to think about the ways that you can promote global healing and health as well. So I'm grateful that you've spent your time, decided to spend your time with us today. My name is Danny, and I'm the founder and lead facilitator of the Reclaim Power program, which you're all here for. This is a space created for people who are ready to reclaim their agency, who want to expand their creative and strategic power, and to build lives that are rooted in liberation and care for the planet. This was born out of my own long journey of knowing that I had talent, drive, um, all of the things, vision, but not always having access to the tools, systems, or mentorship, or even business knowledge that makes creative work sustainable. And the Reclaim Power program is my attempt to change that reality for others and to create a community where brilliance doesn't burn out, but rather transforms, grows, and becomes a force for change. And so today you're going to be able to meet some of our incredible 2025 cohort. They've spent the last months developing businesses and projects that reflect their lived experience, their values, and the worlds that they're trying to build. Each of them has done the deep work of grounding their purpose, clarifying their voice, turning their ideas into offerings that can reach and impact others. And so this is a celebration of their commitment, their courage, and their creativity. And it's also an invitation to witness what becomes possible when people can be supported, mentored, and given permission to step into their power. So before we hear from them, I just wanted to break the ice and share a short trailer from my recent work. I am a filmmaker, photographer, National Geographic explorer. I'm the founder of a nonprofit called Photographers Without Borders. I've done so many things throughout my career. I'm currently writing 3 books. And yeah, just like overall, I think I'm an artist, and yeah, life is art. And that's a really important part of the way that I see the world. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of recent work, a trailer from a 4-part docu-series that really, I think, exemplifies what I'm all about in terms of art. And this looks at the parallels between orcas in the Salish Sea and the Indigenous Coast Salish people as well. So this was funded by National Geographic, and it's currently going through film festivals. And I hope it gives you a sense of the lens that I see the world through. So here we go. Just gotta find the file. Let's see, where did it go? Here we go. Hopefully you can all see my screen. I'll let it play.
We Coast Salish people have maintained a close bond with orcas for generations.
Indigenous peoples were really the first killer whale scientists that we had.
Our direct stories are we're descendants of the killer whales, and so our connections to the killer whales is in our hearts and spirit.
I want to explore how their lives mirror ours, from cultural connections and family structures to our shared matriarchal traditions.
Learning the name for killer whale, called Kalachech, like it's really that cultural component. The more you know, the more you're connected.
I remember you said Southern residents have a language of about 1,000 words.
That's right. Each pod, they actually have a different dialect.
They're very smart animals. That so many people, I don't think, fully understand how smart killer whales really are.
I hope they don't go extinct because of the noise and pollution of where they live.
The port is continuing to expand, not only at Trans Mountain, but in other areas too, that then can affect the orcas and can affect their critical habitat.
Wow, it's so cool seeing them like this.
Yeah. By sharing what I learn, I hope more people will understand our kinship with these majestic relatives and help protect them.
Know who you are and where you come from. Know your homeland. Know your language. This is our land. These are our waters. This is what we paddle and this is what we protect.
I was so fascinated my whole life of the idea of are the people under the water, and it's beautiful. The older I got, the more I realized they really are like people.
Thank you for watching. This is just a very small piece of what we've been creating. So I wanted to share that with all of you and yeah, just give you a sense of what I'm interested in. I worked alongside Kaya for the last 3 years to create this series, and we'll be distributing it to Indigenous instructors, facilitators, and schools on reserves across Canada. So that's the original intent. And then after that, we'll hopefully be able to get it into public schools and other boards. So that is what I'm working on right now. I'm also working on a feature film, also funded by Nat Geo, that's about whale interspecies communication with whales. So that's been really interesting. I spent a lot of my time in the water in so-called French Polynesia the last few years working on that one. So yeah, it's me. And now, without further ado, I'm going to pass it on to the first member of this year's cohort, and that is Chrissy Martinez. So the floor is all yours, Chrissy, and I will unmute you.
Nice. Thank you, Danny.
There you
That
go.
trailer is amazing. I so have you ever driven across a river? Some of the rivers in Florida are getting so low from the drought that people are driving their trucks across them. Florida has a problem with over extracting water and dumping nutrient pollution, overbuilding. And while we have over 1,000 freshwater springs, we also have over 1,000 golf courses. I'm coming to you from the ancestral lands of the Patano of the Temuco affiliation, the Miccosukee, and the Seminole tribe of Florida. My parents moved to Venezuela in 1977. I was born at the beach at the base of El Avila Mountains, overlooking the Caribbean Sea, with just my mom, who was courageous enough to leave home and move to another country at 17, and my dad, who delivered me. The soundtrack of my birth was Where the Sounds of the Ocean Meet Led Zeppelin. After my mom's focused breaths, I pretty quickly arrived in the bag. My dad opened it, and I looked around quietly around the room. At first, he was scared because I wasn't screaming, just looking around. I guess you can say this is where my quiet curiosity of the world and water began. A few years later, we moved back to the US when my grandpa was sick and never moved back. Growing up in the US without my citizenship, I always feared getting deported. I didn't feel like I fit in, but being out in nature, I could be my real self. So here's a little behind the scenes of one of the projects that I've been working on. I'm going to share with you. Okay. Does this look, is this popping up for you? Okay. Do you know if I need to turn my audio off while I play the video? My voice audio?
Yeah, you can turn your video off. If it's a video file, you can turn your audio off.
Okay, cool.
I remember the way the cold water felt on my skin as I slipped off my paddleboard into the water.
the sound of my heart beating into my ears as my eyes met clouds, not able to see 6 inches in front of me. Everything shifted when the light finally started to break through murky waters, and I could see this manatee calf's face on the other side. I was flooded with a mix of emotions as it swam up to me, pressing its eyes to the front of my mask. We sat here together on the edge of a hollow realm looking at each other. We locked eyes where the muck and algae met the newly planted eelgrass as the last rays of sunlight moved through the water, creating rainbows everywhere. This image was made in the summer when manatee are free to roam to wherever they can find food. Manatee are dependent on springs when other water temperatures drop below 20 degrees Celsius. This becomes dangerous in the winter because 80% of Florida springs are impaired due to overpumping and nutrient pollution, killing off most of their winter food supplies. In the winter of 2023, I rented a room so that I could launch out first thing in the morning. I got everything ready the night before and loaded up my paddleboard so that I could launch out just before sunrise. My hands and feet were numb by the time I arrived at the spot where hundreds of manatee come together to keep warm. As soon as I slid off my paddleboard, I realized my wetsuit was not made for this. The cold water quickly filled my suit, and a manatee calf swam up to me, chirping like a little bird. This time I could not see where its mom was. There was nothing to eat on the bottom of this river. I saw patchy white scales on its face, covering its nose, and the dip on its head indicating it was malnourished. With every chew on my fin, on my wetsuit, and look into my eyes, my mask began to fill with tears. And within 15 minutes, I was freezing and forced to climb back up on my paddleboard, feeling helpless. Tour boat after tour boat arrived with boatloads of people dropped off, likely unknowingly, to swim with and have selfies taken with the hungry manatee. When I called FWC, they told me it is normal for them to be underweight in the winter and to be covered in some degree of cold stress, but he was concerned this one may have been orphaned. This happens when they need to eat, but they have to risk their lives to swim out of the warmer spring waters into the freezing waters to find food. What if I told you there's a way for around 400 manatee a year to have access to new food sources and warmth in the winter? Removing the Rodman Dam and the Ocklawaha River would reconnect them to Silver Springs and to the 20 lost springs of Florida. What if, while we provide a new refuge for them, we can start moving from despair into hope and start creating more places like this for them to swim in winter? Springs that not only keep them warm, but also feed them.
Oh, okay. Thanks for watching that. If you'd like to connect and learn more, Danny just posted my social media in there. You can connect with, check out my website. And I love talking about this stuff. So, yeah, wide open. Currently, the Rodman Dam is on a drawdown. So, for the first time in like 5 years, you can see those 20 lost springs. And I have a boat ride booked in a few weeks. And then I'll also be out there a lot, uh, documenting that area. So, thank you.
Amazing job, Chrissy. That was incredible. Your work is so beautiful. I had a couple dogs, as everyone knows. You might hear them barking. I can't really tell. Zoom's pretty good at dampening sound, but that was just so incredibly beautiful. Gave me goosebumps. Yes, exactly what you said, Pravina. I want to encourage anyone who has questions for Chrissy, you can pop them in the chat now. But at the end, we're going to have time to talk with all of the cohort. So you can either save your questions for then, or you can ask them in the chat now. And Chrissy will try her best to answer. But I want to just thank you so much, Chrissy. That was amazing. Can't wait to hear more from you later. And now we're going to move on to Rasha Al-Jundi. Very excited to have you here. Awesome. Let's see. Just give me one sec here, Rasha. There you go.
Thank you, Danny. And Chrissy, that was amazing. Thank you for sharing. All right, let me just share my screen. Share. Can everybody see my screen? Maybe not. Yes, thank you. Okay, let's see if you can also hear that. Just allow me to share a video first. Oh, sorry. Did I stop that? Oh, sorry. I was trying to stop my audio. I'll share. I have some technical issues. Let me just 1 second.
No worries. We'll just play a little bit of air guitar while we wait.
I don't know what happened.
Let me know if you need help.
No, it's just, I think okay, there we go. All right. Sorry, I was trying, because there's somebody around me and I'm not, I was just trying to mute myself as well. Okay, so now how do I share again?
Same way you shared before, just share and then video file. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, so someone once asked me, what is the meaningful to you? And I said, the land for its innate power and organic resistance to the colonizer, with or without us. The stories of my maternal figures on both sides of the family and the relationship to the land. The family archive that has recorded a long multi-generational journey into exile. And my own contribution to all the above in an attempt to go back to the land. Hi, everyone. My name is Rasha Al-Jundi, and I'm a Palestinian visual storyteller, researcher, and traditional Palestinian embroidery artist based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'd like to think of my work as one that challenges the viewer's pre-existing ideas and acquired concepts about a story. So I'm always eager to expand the box that everyone puts themselves in and push the narrative to new and difficult ideas that people find it difficult to face. At the personal level, I always find myself trying to reconcile with the idea of exile and not having a place to call home. So my work mainly focuses on social, political, and cultural themes that are linked to colonial history and legacy. 3 years ago, I started collaborating with other visual artists. For now, two Palestinians, it happens so far. And so I kind of produce work that combines sometimes digital illustrations and sometimes, as you saw before, Palestinian embroidery. And I find that through these collaborations, the story of each image becomes deeper and multidimensional. So it actually becomes better with these collaborations that are based on trust. And now, currently, I'm focusing on finishing this series of images with a fellow Palestinian photographer called Ali Asfour. He basically focuses on analog photography, and I apply the embroidery to the images according to what story I'd also like to place myself in the image. This series is called What Did You See? And it's basically a way for me to go back to the homeland with Ali being my eyes, basically, in Palestine. After we finish, we have like 3 images to go. We're hopefully gonna produce a small zine, printed to put the work out there beyond digital presentation. And finally, I just like to show you another image. Here you go from this series. And I've been curating. I've been lucky to curate some exhibitions, some of my work and some of other people's work. I've taught workshops, and I'm always on the lookout for similar opportunities and collaborations with new artists. So if my work resonates with you, please reach out. This is my social media and my website and all other details where you can reach me. And I'd really like to thank Danny for this year and all the ladies in this cohort for this year's Reclaim Power program. It's been a very difficult time for me. So you've always been there for me without judgment and through all this difficult time. So thank you so much.
First of all, just like, wow, your work is ridiculously like so layered, just like the embroidery and everything. Like it always brings like so much emotion up for me, just like and just getting it feels like an honor to see your new work and your new pieces that you're working on and also just yeah, like right back at you. I can't imagine how it is for you and just holding space for you and having you in the group makes us all richer. Like you're just so incredibly talented. You have such a great voice and it's needed in this world. So thank you for being you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, it's getting dark around me and the light is not so good, but thank you.
Okay, and I know. Everyone, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please drop them in the chat for Rasha. I just can't say enough about your work. And we will come back and get to talk to you later. So really excited to keep the conversation going. Next up, we have Naila Azmi coming from Sumatra. And honestly, under the conditions right now, I'm amazed that you're here and just yeah. Nyla is one of my closest, dearest friends. We've been friends for quite a long time now. And right now, Sumatra is going through a horrible flood. So just really, really grateful that you're here, Nyla.
Yes, thank you very much for the chance. Oh, yes, it's hard for me to be here. Um, as everyone know, there's a huge disaster happening right now in Sumatra, and I'm still waiting for the news for some part of my family because some of them are still in the remote area being isolated, and it's horrible what's really been happening here. And I am going to take the moment to actually appreciating all of the victims, all of the life that we lost for the past week. It's been almost more than 600 people died so far, and almost 500 are still missing, and that's not all. So I'm paying some respect and biggest praise to all of the victims, and hopefully we can get out from here stronger than ever. Um, so yeah, I'm going to do my presentation. I'm sorry that it's going to be like a little bit noisy because I'm outside. At the moment, the situations right now, it's not really looking good because we're having another threat, which is the Great Moon, triggering the, like the tide in the coastal area is getting bigger, meaning that we're actually waiting for another flood. So I'm a little bit anxious, so that's why I'm spending most of my time being outside and seeing everything. So my apologies if you hear a lot of things during my presentations. Anyway, so I'm going to present you. Yes, I'm hoping everyone see right now. Yes. So yeah. Uh Hi everyone, my name is Naila and I'm a conservationist. I am storyteller, I'm land protectors, I'm activist, and I'm educator who is based in Sumatra, Indonesia. Today I'm going to present you how we actually try to initiate the local initiative for the global impact and decolonizing Sumatra conservation. Did you know that tigers are not just tiger, but grandfathers in my language, in Batak language, and that we consider the orangutan as our ancestor in my community? Well, for a long time, I didn't either. I'm Batak, which is indigenous group of the island of Sumatra, which is part of the country Indonesia, located in Pacific Ocean. I grew up in palm oil plantations that was located on the border of the Great Forest. When I was a little girl, I come home one day with a little ball of orange and black fur, thinking that it was a kitten. So my shock and my parents' horror, it turned out to be a baby tiger. Later did I know that this event will spark a long love nature, and especially a love of cats. But I was never encouraged to work in the forest, let alone to go to school. You see, as a woman in Sumatra, which is already very conservative and brought up in the Muslim faith, I was always taught that it was too dangerous, too scary, and all the bad things could happen to me. I studied under my bed, ran away to the city, and got educations all myself, earning a master's. This was at the time when there were no women in the field. I volunteered my way and things change. Despite the violence in the field, sexual harassment was daily, constantly being asked when I'm getting married, constantly being told that conservation is not for women. I had no support from my family and I felt belittled and torn down. I watched women, many of them younger than conservation treatment. Starting to learn all of the Muslim great ancestor were killed in the genocide at the hands of the Dutch colonial in 1900 and were buried in a mass grave, living undercover as a late identity because we could be, let alone our land and water. Today, I look at the conservation issues around us. Millions of hectares of forest where we used to live in harmony with critically endangered monoculture orangutan being trafficked. I know that if we had not been interrupted by colonizations, we wouldn't be in this situation at all. I've also started to learn our language, our history. All of this by the colonializations, and today conservation has taken colonizer place. The major initiatives are run or funded by the outside entities who dictate the work, and indigenous people and woman boomi, which is for indigenous women, youth, and other of earth. We educate nearly 100 children each week. We patrol more than 50 hectares of Gunung Liso National Park, and each of them, I see the spirit of the ancestor, like Buru Pareme, on those who fought bravely against the Dutch. With your help, we can reclaim our forests and our place as caretakers. After all, we are all caretakers. By working with us, you can help not only protect but heal the forest and its people. Please visit us in www.nuragabumi.org. Thank you. And to close my presentations, I would like to also encourage to all of the people here, if you would like, please consider to help us. Our organizations right now is initiating the isolated area and targeted and specifically for the underrepresented people, and especially the LGBTIQ plus people, by working with two frontliners LGBTIQ plus organizations. At the moment, it is chaos in Sumatra, and all of the aides were robbed, two women were raped, and a lot of horrible things happening on the ground. So please share and please help us here, because we cannot do it without you guys. So hopefully we can come out being stronger and bring the collective healing together. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Nyla, and just thanks again for being here under these circumstances. Your work is absolutely like, it's just, I want to just give a little bit, tiny bit more context, because Nyla started this organization during the pandemic, like in really rough circumstances, and actually like as part of this program. So it's pretty wild to think about like how far it's all come. We started this program. You were part of the 2021 cohort, right, Nyla? That was your first year. Yeah. And like since then, they've been able to grow into an organization that is supporting, I believe like five people in full-time roles, and then also like 75 or more children that they work with in a caring for the earth class every week. So, and also giving scholarships to youth who want to pursue conservation or related studies to help them get into the field. So I'm just like super proud of you, and again, just thank you for being here right now. And so if you have any questions or any comments you want to share with Nyla, please pop them in the chat. And I posted the link for Nuraga Bumi in case you want to donate. They are providing mutual aid for folks on the ground who are affected by the floods. So you can also take a look at them there and follow them on their social media. Next, we are going to be going to Pravina. Excited to have you up here, Pravina. Just gonna do a couple things here. There you go.
Thank you, Danny, and everyone. Great to be here, and really appreciate the chance to talk a little bit about the program and what I'm working on at the moment. So firstly, just to introduce myself, my name is Pravina Gunaratnam. I'm a first generation Tamil Sri Lankan Australian who spent about half my adult life actually living and working in Southeast Asia. My day job is as a public health researcher and practitioner. I'm also an activist, and over the last few years have increasingly been drawn to photography as a creative outlet, but also as a tool to share what I see in my daily life. And hopefully through this to build connection and encourage more people to join community-led efforts for change. So I'm really, really grateful for the opportunity to share a little bit today about a project that I'm working on, looking at resistance and resilience of the communities living next to the Mekong River, which I'm sure many of you know is one of the longest rivers in the world, running through China, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and southern Vietnam, and on which 70 million people depend on for their livelihoods. But maybe firstly, before starting, just want to acknowledge, as you know, as Nyla has mentioned, and Danny as well, that at the moment we're seeing flooding, really severe flooding and cyclones and extreme weather events across South and Southeast Asia, including Sumatra, where I've just had, the privilege of spending time with Nyla, photographing and learning more about the efforts of her organization and team to conserve the Sumatran rainforest and the wildlife within it. And would really encourage anyone not only to obviously, donate to the organization to help both with the immediate relief efforts and but also their ongoing work. But also it's been an incredible experience and incredibly enriching, and I've learnt so much. So if you have the time and the resources, please, really can't recommend it highly enough. But just to note that, we see obviously the devastation in Sumatra that Nyla and her family and friends are dealing with, and also in my homeland of Sri Lanka and other parts of the region. And these extreme weather events are occurring more frequently here in South and Southeast Asia, but also beyond, including because of man-made climate change. And some of the common, common themes wherever this is happening seems to be inadequate or delayed action by governments and international organizations. Yet we also see local communities, both within and across borders, coming together to support each other to rebuild and reduce the likelihood of some of these events happening in the future, and really trying to address the effects of climate change. So just to now share a little bit about where I am and what I'm sort of focusing on at the moment. I'll just bring up my screen. Can everyone see that? So I currently live in Vientiane, Laos, which is in Laos. If you've never heard of Laos, you're not alone. It's one of the smaller countries in Southeast Asia, about 7.5 million people, a landlocked country which is surrounded by the much sort of larger and more prominent countries of China, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, and Thailand. And what you see here are the banks of the Mekong River in Vientiane. And Vientiane is the capital city of Laos, and where I've lived for the last 7 years. And if you squint, you can see Thailand on the other side of the river. So the view on a normal day is on the left-hand side, a quote unquote normal day. But on the right-hand side is the same view after heavy rain in July this year. Now in Laos and other countries in the region, July is the normal time for the rainy season, but this level of water is still pretty unusual, particularly after the widespread flooding, which had also occurred in the previous year. So maybe a little bit particular to Laos is the fact that the government has decided that it wants to be, quote unquote, the battery of Asia, and has staked its economic development on hydropower, with 75 dams on the Lao tributaries of the Mekong and 2 on the mainstream, and many others planned. And environmental damage from hydropower development and climate change threatens the river's seasonal movements, sediment and fish supplies, and the physical security of the people who live alongside it. In 2024, there was a typhoon Yagi, which came through the region and affected Laos. And exacerbating the effects of this typhoon were also dam releases from upstream, which were instigated to relieve pressure from excess water, but which worsened flooding downstream. And locals here in Laos state that they were not informed of these releases beforehand, and therefore couldn't plan or help to, be prepared to mitigate the efforts or the effects of that flood, dam releases. Well-intentioned Falang or Lao for foreigners, call for greater transparency and community participation in decisions about developing the Mekong. Yet Laos is a one-party state, where even an innocuous question such as, where is the helicopter for rescuing people, can see someone thrown in jail, as was the case with Hue Huang Zaibuli or Mue, who posted as much on Facebook in 2019 during flooding in the south of the country. So expecting that no assistance will come, locals get on with it, clearing away debris and starting to rebuild, as I imagine is a little bit what probably is we're also seeing happening in Sumatra at the moment, and Aceh and other parts of the region that are experiencing some of these extreme weather events at the moment. But here in Laos, there are also nascent initiatives at the village level in some parts of the country to create structures for greater involvement of community in decisions about land and water management. And also across the border in Thailand, activists who have been successful in reducing dam developments in their own country have turned their attention to advocating against Thai investment in dams in other countries such as Laos, showing cross-border collaboration and solidarity. So now coming to this year, when the water levels rose again in 2025, some people again in Laos, such as this fisherwoman, also wasted no time in making the most of things. So this photo is really unusual because you normally don't get this close to the water in downtown Vientiane, and also because in Laos, active fishing is dominated by men, despite fish being the main source of protein and the central role of women in feeding their families. So another sort of aspect that I hope to document as part of this ongoing project is how how to further support women's participation and also kind of promote locally led solutions, which are already happening and which can benefit from further support and solidarity from, including from the international community. So thank you for listening today. This is very much, very much a work in progress and something that's just starting. And so would love to reach, if you would like to reach out and hear from anyone that's interested in collaborating and working together on these issues. Thank you.
Yes, Pravina, so ridiculously incredible. Like your storytelling, your just like everything. Like I can't believe how far you've come in such a short amount of time. Like it's incredible. And I've posted Pravina's website in the chat. Because yeah, this is the like perfect example of how someone with like a science background or with like a nonprofit or just a different background can transition into storytelling like so seamlessly. Pravina and I had the pleasure of meeting in India a couple years back, a little while back. And yeah, like even in that workshop, so yeah, you're just gonna go super far with all of your work and your photojournalism and yeah. Thank you so much for your amazing presentation. If you have any questions for Pravina, any comments, please leave them in the chat. And we will get back to the panel portion of this event soon and hear back from you again. Thank you so much, Pravina. Great job.
Thank you. And thank you as well thank you, Danny, and everyone in the group. Have learned so much from you and continue to learn so much from you and be inspired by you. So thank you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's been so much fun. All right, here we go. We're gonna go over now to Steady Jenny. Awesome. And there we go.
Hey everyone. Thanks so much for hopping on. I'm just gonna share my screen. All right. Hopefully everyone can see.
She was so beautiful. At that time, when people were developing AIDS, and then after she finally got it, we didn't want to drink coffee at her house and stuff because she was there
Why didn't you want to drink coffee at her house?
Because she had AIDS and who knows what she was touching, you know?
But they know that you can't get it just from touching.
I don't know at that time if we knew that. It was dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. I was so mad at my sister. Didn't you? Man, I used to talk to my kids all the time. Don't go with this, don't do anything, be careful. Maybe she didn't tell her there's age out there. These guys were looking for someone to screw because no one would screw them, right? I think that's what it was.
What happened was my friends were the first to die in San Francisco, and I was kind of flipping out. I went to a party one night, and one of those guys came up to me, and he goes, I think you should call this guy called Cleve Jones. He needs some sewers. And he told me what he was doing, that they were making them 3 foot by 6. That was the size of a grave. They hadn't made any yet. He made the first one, I made the second panel. But it wasn't a memorial, it was made as an activist movement. And that's why I did it. We were telling the government, when are you going to do something? How much space does it have to take before you're going to make a move? I was going there because I was mad. I was furious. My friends were all dying. Nobody was doing anything. I had to watch them die horrible, horrible deaths with lesions all over. It was just horrible. And I sometimes wonder how we all got through those years. Quilt was going so fast, sometimes I just felt like I was holding on to the end of it and running, and just to stay with it. I'd say the first 15 years, it was always like that. You couldn't stop it. It had a mind of its own. And it was, and people were dragging it all over the place, and I was just lucky enough to be with it, and maybe, direct it or try to protect it in some way. That's always the way. Any kind of changes ever happen is by activism. I don't care what anybody said. But sometimes you have to disrupt some stuff to get your message across, and that's just the way it is. The quilt was born by gay men, for gay men, no question. White gay men. It doesn't have a lot of women in it. It has some. They don't have to be a gay man or whatever, baby. I mean, nobody deserves to die a horrible death where nobody will stand up for them and do something.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for viewing that. I'm just going to now share some stills about my project. Hopefully you guys can see this screen. Let me also... Excellent. Okay. My Syrian mother unknowingly had HIV when she gave birth to me in 1984. A crisis that impacted tens of thousands of women in the 80s, but whose lives and legacies went unheard, drowned out by the stigma and focus of the AIDS epidemic being wrongly classified as a gay male disease. Each year I outlive my mother is an act of resistance against the erasure of her life and legacy. As a lower middle class 6-year-old during the height of the AIDS epidemic, I created my mother's AIDS quilt without understanding its historic and grassroots significance in forcing the government to recognize the mounting and looming health crisis. I made her quilt just after she died and never saw it again, until 32 years later. As I unearth the mysteries surrounding her life and death, I'm determined to honor my mother's resilience and in turn uncover and uplift the countless narratives of women of color who disproportionately died of AIDS during the epidemic in the U.S. Many Arab families who immigrated to the Western world were socialized to tell people we were Greek or Italian. As a child, I was already instructed to do this by my elders, and once my mother's symptoms started to become noticeable and her condition got worse, I was also told to tell people my mother died of cancer, not AIDS. This erasure of identity and denial of my mother's legacy fueled our mixed religious immigrant background, and the stigma of AIDS resulted in a life filled with constantly conflicting stories of how my mother contracted HIV, and to this day, I still do not know the truth. This experience acts as an invisible wall, a palpable barrier between my mother and I. As a single mother with a grown daughter myself, I've come to learn that the stigma ingrained in me as a child has silenced my own lived experience. My journey to reclaim my mother's legacy is a radical act of vulnerability, breaking me from the shame imposed by both my Syrian and Cuban families. This is more than a story highlighting the women who silently suffered through the AIDS epidemic with little representation. This is also a story of an immigrant family who erased their own identity in an effort to assimilate to Western society, then had to navigate through the social stigma of a worldwide epidemic while grieving their daughter, their wife, their sister, their mother. This is a story about processing the grief and the resilience of a mother-daughter bond cut off after only 6 years. This may also be a story about the search for answers I may never get, but after a childhood of conditioned erasure, I finally realized that marginalized people must honor our narratives when no one else will. Through socially engaged practice, film, contemporary art, and historic AIDS quilt panels, I aim to uncover the stories of the misdiagnosed, ignored, and forgotten. I will create a visual quilt that merges film photography, the AIDS quilt itself, cultural assimilation, memory, identity, and the activism that brought the AIDS epidemic to the forefront in the US. This project is for my mother, for the glorious and wretched journey through motherhood, for my daughter, for her daughter, and for all femmes of color who have been marginalized in some way, either by the patriarchy, the medical industry, by religion, or by their families. It's time to turn my lens onto myself and honor my mother's legacy because I'm the only one who can. I'm looking to connect with anyone involved with archival work surrounding the AIDS epidemic in the US, and I'm also looking to connect with other AIDS orphans and activists involved with ACT UP and doctors and caregivers who worked with women diagnosed with AIDS during the epidemic. Danny just graciously dropped my Instagram and my website, and you can also hit me up at my email at steadyjenny@gmail.com. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here for this presentation.
Oh, Jenny, this was so like emotional and heartfelt, and I just feel like I got to see a part of you that, yeah, like this was really special. I'm really grateful for you for sharing your story, your mom's story, like your family story, and yeah, for bringing this important conversation forward with your artwork. And yeah, I know that was not easy. Website's looking great, by the way. Um, so yeah, I'm so proud of you and thank you for sharing this piece of your soul with us. And if anyone has any comments or questions or anything for Jenny, please drop them in the chat. And we'll come back to the panel very soon. So thank you, Jenny.
Thanks, everyone.
And lastly, for today, we have Michael. There's a couple of our cohort that aren't able to be here or to present, and we're missing them a lot. But you can check out more about them on our website. And we're gonna go over to Michael Parker next. So let's do this.
Are we?
There you go.
Okay, perfect.
All you, my friend.
Okay. My name is Michael Parker. I live in Los Angeles County in California, in the United States. And I think for all of us around the world, it has been a tough year. And I just want to say that this group, Reclaim Power, has given me the support and structure that I need in order to make it through it. And I want to thank everyone for that. And Danny for creating such a beautiful group. So on January 7th, the wildfires hit Los Angeles County, and 17 hours after I knew that my cats were safe if I stepped away, I grabbed my camera, started to go out and document, and have not stopped since then. I've always been that historian. Like even as a kid, I was the person that everybody, like I took pictures. And I've realized that I am building an archive of what's been happening in our community since day one and our response to it. These are the first, this is 24 hours after the fire. And then we now enter the phase where the rebuild begins, as we're still all in, we're all a little disoriented by the fact that homes that people left thinking they'd be back the next morning are gone. And for days, the ground smoldered. People would come out and look at their businesses. it was expected to find people wearing PPE everywhere because we had no idea of the toxic impacts of which we'll be facing over the next decade as we rebuild. And I always found it odd, like what burned and what didn't burn. Altadena is a small area. We had over 10,000 homes burn here. And there's an illusion that it'll be your local, state, or federal government that will step in and help you out and everything will be fine. And none of that is true. Um, it's your community, it's your neighbors, it's you, it's me. These people who came out here to literally gently dig through the ashes in order to find anything that might be of sentimental value were volunteers from the community with no formal training who just came out. We're 10 months in. We are still dealing with food insecurity, houselessness. This is an elder who was found living in a tent on the property he rented from after the fires. And someone got him into a hotel. But even then, once you're under a structure of a roof, there are other issues that you face. And like I mentioned, the toxic impacts, we don't know. And yet people are needing to live on their property in RVs or tents in order to continue to survive. Now, about 25 miles away from Altadena is Pacific Palisades. And these homes that I focus on were on the beach, on the shoreline. At first, I didn't want to go down there because I wanted to focus only on Altadena, but then I realized the ecological impacts that we were seeing in the landfills of which they were dumping the debris, as well as all this is going into the ocean. And often there would be days where I'd be out there and I think, what is that smell? And all the smells were different, but there was one that just, it was like, I finally figured out it was electronics, melted plastic, and like, that metallic bite that you get stuck in your mouth once you breathe it in and you can't let it go. Even just last week, I was documenting some debris removal, and the majority of it is gone here in Altadena. And I didn't have a mask on. Within 20 minutes, I started to cough. And 24 hours later, I had the headache that I had come to associate with being embedded in the toxic debris. And I think the most profound question that I have every day is, what have we done? There have been hundreds of sea mammals that have washed ashore dead or showing neurological impacts of the debris being in the ocean. And they used to swim beside the surfers, and now we're seeing them attack people on the beach on occasion. So if you would like to collaborate, or I love to collaborate, if you would like to reach me, I'm on Instagram and my website, michaelparkerphotography.com. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Michael. Oh my goodness. It's just amazing the dedication that you have to not just your work, but like the truth and to making sure that we remember these times for future generations. And I think that's really important. And the questions you're asking with your photography are really important. And it's wild to me witnessing what's going on over there from your lens the last year, especially. But what a surreal time to be alive. It's wild thinking about all the toxins, all the chemicals, and like how so many animals are washing up dead onto shore and being affected, and the myriad ongoing like knock-on impact, and like how it must be affecting fishing industries and like farms and like all kinds of things. Really causes us to question, like you said, what are we doing? Like, what have we done? Um, and so thank you for your project. This is like, and this, I love all of your work because it really exemplifies how um you can have a career, you can do important work, and like there's no way AI can recreate like what you're all making. This is something that has like a specific human touch, and it's necessary to have a human touch and in this type of work. So, yeah, thank you for just being shining examples of the brilliance in the world. I'm going to spotlight everyone who just presented, or what am I doing? I guess I'm spotlighting and add spotlight. Yeah, there we go. Spotlight myself. We're going to do a little bit of a Q&A here. So if anyone has any questions or comments that you want me to share, I'm going to moderate a little bit. Please share them with me in the chat or share them with us in the chat. And then we will try and get to them. Let's see. Here we go. I can do this. Good times. Okay, do I have it? No, Nyla. Okay, so apparently I cannot spotlight more people. So I'm gonna unspotlight myself and try to spotlight Nyla. There we go. Oh, still can't do it. Maybe because your video is off. I'm not sure. But here we are. Nyla, if you want to join the conversation, I'm just gonna unmute you. And if you want to chat, feel free to just let me know. I'm gonna unmute everyone here. All right, and if anyone has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat. I'm going to start us off with a question for whoever wants to answer. Tell me what reclaim power means to you after going through this program. Feel free to answer at will, or otherwise I'll start volunteering people. What does reclaim power mean to you after this period of time? And some of you have been in the program multiple years, so it'll be interesting to hear from you.
I know I can say a couple of words. I feel like even just the title of the program embodies exactly what I'm doing with this project. It's very, very different project for me. Normally I'm out, covering injustices and atrocities and everybody else's stories and legacies besides my own. So it's a really, really different. I've always associated like power with my camera with helping to amplify other people's voices and stories, and I've spent my whole life doing that. But to finally turn the lens on myself is like a whole different type of reclaiming of power, and it's just a completely different feeling. And I think that this program kind of helped me step into that power a little bit more unapologetically.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. I appreciate that. Does anyone want to add anything? Have a different take?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sort of in some ways very similar to Jenny. I think so for me, it's been really, um, yeah, really amazing and really important in terms of, I think, firstly, I think reclaiming my own sort of story and with all the yeah twists and turns and bumps in it, and as part of that, and as a step, I think, to then being able to better amplify the stories of other people. Yeah, and connect, connect with other, with other people, and so yeah. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, so then I know that there's some issues with unmuting, so just if you want to raise your hand, I can just unmute you really easily. If you don't want to be unmuted the whole time. And Nyla, I don't know why I cannot add you. Oh, there we go. I can add you now. Yay.
It works now.
Fantastic. Awesome.
Anyway, yes. What does reclaim power means to me? For me, it means everything. I mean, like the first time I was actually lost on 2021, the first time of Reclaim Power. Um, was launched, an initiative was began, and then I was one of it. I didn't know what to do. Um, that was like one of the toughest time for me. But then joining the Reclaim Power pretty much, like brings me like the support, unimaginable support for myself and for the initiative and the changing that I would like to bring to the world, like um to bring my medicine on shaping it into um an organizations that I established, and it keeps going now. So it started with me not knowing what to do, and then pretty much shaping me to what I am right now, and growing together, and finding amazing friends, supporters alike that I could ever imagine, I could ever ask for. I mean, like this year I am able to have the honor to meet Pravina and spend like the most amazing time and share the most amazing love. I miss you, Pravina. And like yeah, and especially because we escaped a lot of things together. Earthquake, flood, storm. It's crazy. But then we made it alive, but we still share, like amazing love despite all of the crazy things. And like all of those things that make me like feeling that we're like like connected, like each of us is connected to each other, like distance is nothing, like you can pretty much we can actually like intersectional interconnected to each other, and through this reclaim power, that's what I keep learning every year. So yeah, for me it means the world. That's why, like, even though that like despite of everything else I'm struggling to, like, and especially for today, I still feel anxious. Sumatra is still on morning, we're still in the like hunting situations at the moment. Probably you guys hear the rain, it's still raining here. um but I cannot miss, and just would like to emphasize how much this reclaim power means to me. So that's for me.
Appreciate your thoughts and your feedback, and just yeah, for me from my end, I just like to look back at, a year ago to today, and just see how far everyone's come, including myself. I participate in the program too every year, so it's really, really, it's powerful. It is powerful. So thank you, Nyla. You are just absolutely incredible. I want to ask each of you also what inspired the project that you shared today, and how has your understanding or like your relationship to it evolved during the program? Here, I'll just type it in the chat.
I might share on the what does reclaim power mean first.
Anything, yeah. Share it on any question you like.
But yeah, for me, it has been an opportunity to get more comfortable with sharing my voice, with knowing any story I want to create. Like all I need to do is step in and create it. And that if I'm unsure of like how to navigate something, like to have your support, Danny, and the support of this group has been amazing, and like beautiful feedback. And also the power of knowing when life gets really hard, because even with working on dreams, like life can have its challenges, and to have learned the pieces around like self-regulating, how to alchemize energy is when things are hard so that I can show up better, so that I can then be more of how I want to be able to show up for other people in my life. And yeah, it's been absolutely amazing. I'm sure there's more, but that's what was coming to mind. I'm gonna pause for now so that I can think about the next question and let someone share.
Thank you. Thank you, Chrissy. That's really sweet. I'm kind of curious to hear from I think Michael, you're wanting to say something, but I'm curious to hear from you in terms of your project and how it's your relationships evolved to it.
Mine?
Yeah, during the program.
Uh,
Hmm.
well, the project basically it's more than what's in front of me. E- it's everything just flew out of my head. Um, I think that I'm going to say first that having the touchstone of being in Reclaim Power every week has provided, and this is the second time I've been through the program. Um, and each time I have developed further, not only in my work, but also as a human being and how I relate to producing the work I'm currently creating. And having it's wonderful for me to be able to come into a group of people that are all over the world and see where they're at as well and what's going on with them. Um, it's grounding. It pushes me to reflect more. It also it helps me see that I'm not alone in whatever I'm experiencing at the moment. Um, the fires have been interesting and it's evolved into so much more that I didn't even show today as ISIS invaded us. Um, and there's a direct correlation as to why our community has been able to respond so quickly and keep them at bay as much as we have. And that's because of the fires. And we had already had been forced to create a community that was there, that we hadn't had, that we weren't as bonded as we were before. Um, so yeah, I don't know what that answers it. For me, when I come to Reclaim, it's like coming to the International Space Station, where everybody is different and nobody cares, and we all just want to like make things better. And how cool is that? So yeah, that's it.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I've never heard about it referred to as an international space station, but
It
that's
is.
very cool. Yeah, it kind of is. It's like an international station where we all come together and yeah, try to make the and yeah, I think it's like for a lot of folks it's hard to think about like and I think that's one of the things that we have to break through in this course, especially right now, like with things being so just like um visceral is this like, okay, well, why should I focus on myself? Why should I focus on what I'm creating and my own liberation when so much other stuff is happening? And I think that's like one of the most important things to remember is that, through our own liberation, we're able to then liberate others and show them like what we know and, keep sharing these tools and like demystifying like how to do that. And instead of staying in these individualistic clumps, right? And like bringing people together into spaces where we can like ideate and like share. And I think I don't know, I'll pass it back to the group, but like what I've noticed is that throughout the years, as I've changed this program, made it better and better through different iterations is how much emotional stuff like we all go through that like blocks us, right? And when I was first starting out, like that was the number one thing people would ask me in interviews all the time, like, what's your biggest challenge? And I'd always say it's me. Like I'm like the biggest thing, like, of course there's other factors. There's racism, there's sexism, there's like all kinds of other stuff like gatekeeping, whatnot. But like at the end of the day, like it was a lot of the time like my mental health or like my own ability like inability to like kind of just break out of like the traumas that I'd experienced and things like that, and also around money, like we talk about trauma of money a lot in the program, and so I'm just curious for all of you, like what were some of your biggest challenges this year and how did you navigate them? You can also respond to the other question about your project if you prefer.
I'm going to chime in real quick and say that I agree, like myself is the biggest barrier, as well as asking for help. And that's been something I've really worked towards this year is to feel safer and more comfortable in asking for help, even if it's just to say, totally stressed out here and stuck in my head. Can you send me a gift and get me out of it? And that's been life changing.
I love it. I'm going to send this question to Rasha around your project. What inspired the project that you shared today, and how has your relationship to it evolved during this program?
I think I talked about the project that I'm finishing at the end of my presentation. What inspired it is actually the photographer I'm working with, he actually approached me. So I can't access occupied Palestine, so he knows the whole I mean I think Palestine is exiled within the homeland itself, so he understands that. So he approached me, and that inspired the work. How my relationship evolved. I mean, I think what I can say about Reclaim Power is that it's been an escape for me. Let's put it that way. It's like finding a group of people who are not judgmental, just patient and not expecting anything except just being there for each other. So that was, I don't think it has affected my relationship with the project, but it has helped me proceed in working on the project somehow. So like continue working on the project, and that's important. So I was thinking, I mean, I'm just thinking to everybody, I'm just thinking about it myself. And I think this is what the program has done in a time when I still honestly think nothing is important, honestly, but it has helped me like stay focused somehow. Um, yeah, even though I couldn't make it in some weeks, but still, whenever I did, I was like, oh, okay, like I can at least listen to other people's stories and what they're working on and other parts of the world and what's going on, and that also helps in yeah having a different perspective also on things, but. Also, it kind of gets me to think that how very close we are because we live under one empire, and that also affects everything that has been happening in the world, including the response in Indonesia to the floods as well. So that's also kind of like brings it all together. I mean, everything is related somehow. And if you look at the layered relationships between all these powers in the world, um, yeah, it just brings it back. So I agree with Michael. It's like I don't know if the International Space Station is making the world better. I might argue with that against that, but but I think it is like an international group. So it brings like you have all these different perspectives, but then you see that it's all kind of linked to what's going on. Also, uh, it's not like what's happening in occupied Palestine is different or is unique or is like isolated. It's all kind of related. So. Yeah, I think it's been just I'm just talking nonsense now, but I think it's been great just bringing me back to uh, like thinking about the project and just going on with the work rather than just getting it's been a brain fog for 2 years. So yeah, that's been the best thing about the program, of course, and this group.
Well, thank you so much. And I think you really like touched upon the fact that just having so many, yeah, different people from all over the planet like coming together with like similar intentions or similar values, not exactly always the same, but yeah, like just wanting to understand each other and like yeah, like you said, seeing how we're all so interconnected, like it's such a powerful force for accountability in our work and like in deciding like how we want to move forward in the world. So thank you for that. Beatrice has a question. Sometimes I think the stories that I desire to tell and put out to the world, I wonder if they are, if it will interest anyone at all. I think some of y'all have felt this way in the past. So it becomes a fight within myself to do it or not. I tussle with the question, why would anyone else care? This is how now what I'm working on. How does one overcome this insecurity? I love this question, Rasha.
I So people, first of all, people really don't care in general. So you do the work because you believe in the story, and this is a story or work that you are passionate to put out there. As you know already, I mean, image making, visual storytelling is very subjective. Some people will find it interesting, some people will find it meh. So, you're not going to change I don't agree with when people say, oh, I'm doing photography for social change. I mean, these are big words. Nobody's doing photography for social change. Um, but I think that you should just believe in the work that you're doing and the story that you're telling, and it will reflect in the work, and people will be interested because of that. So they will see the photographer through the lens, if they really put their heart and their whole soul into the images. And I can say this for everybody's work, not just obviously Jenny's project is very personal, so obviously we see her through the work, but even when Pravina talks about Laos, or when Michael talks about the fires, and it's not because you live there or you are part of that community, and you've been spending a lot of time of your life there, but also because it's obvious that people are just passionate about these stories, and they want to do something and they want to put it out there. So I think it just shows from the work, and you're not gonna get people to be interested unless you are interested in your story. That's my answer. If you're just doing it for some grant or for some publication or for somebody, it's gonna show as well. You might get the job, but it's gonna show that the work is done just because.
I think that was such a good answer. But I will say that like every single person, every artist kind of struggles with this, especially at the beginning. And I think Rasha, that's such a powerful response. And I often look to people who like, I'm like, how did they like, I always try to look for these like lights. That's how I see all of you. You're like these lights that I can kind of like look to for like when I'm like feeling down or inspired, uninspired or like not sure. And like a lot of it is just, yeah, having that confidence to say, I don't really care what other people think. Like that's why I'm an artist. That's what art is. It's an expression of who we are. And, there are folks here who are in nonprofit spaces, photojournalism. Not everyone here is necessarily a photographer or an artist, but like in that way. But I think we all live our lives as art because that's the number one intention is like expressing ourselves. And I think what comes after that is you'd be amazed at how many people connect with your art, even if it feels very niche or whatnot. And another thing I think that's important to remember is like sometimes your friends and family aren't going to be like your biggest fans, and that's okay. Like you're going to find other people that connect with your work, just by putting it out there authentically. And I think that's the what you're talking about, Rasha, is just coming from a place of authenticity, being audacious enough to like be yourself and to like put what you want to in the world, and then liberating yourself from the idea that everybody has to like what you do, because that's not interesting. Like trying to be likable is not the way to start a liberating and nourishing career. So that's my reflection as well. Does anyone want to add on to that? And I think that's what a lot of this program's about too, right? We talk a lot about, yeah, like building confidence and like, we spend a lot of time decolonizing, figuring out our own gifts, really like reflecting on those so that we feel confident enough to put our work and our stuff out there. Um, Beatrice, thank you for the great question. Really appreciate it. And anyone else, please feel free to ask questions. Does anyone feel called to answer any of the questions that have been shared so far?
I think maybe just to add on to what you and Rasha have said, Danny, in response to the question about putting the story out there, I think is and I think I've sort of mentioned this to the group before is kind of a little bit that struggle of that struggle of working through it and putting it out there because you feel that it's something you want to say and um not looking for that validation through having lots of likes or but just recognizing that you don't, I mean, you don't know what's going to happen, but if you kind of put it out there, then you will connect with people that are so um yeah, that also kind of, maybe have been thinking the same thing, but never felt, that anyone was kind of expressing it, or, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, the only way to kind of find that connection is to keep doing it, even when it feels like maybe you're shouting, it's just going into a void and no one's really paying attention. Yeah. So anyway, so that, I mean, that's kind of a journey that I'm on as well, is to, to kind of, yeah, to keep putting things out there, even if it feels sometimes like it's not really having an impact.
I just wanted to add something, and this is like for everybody in the group and who's attending today. Now, from different trials and experiences, I think that coming up with different ways of putting the work out there, that sentence, should go beyond your website and should go beyond, definitely beyond social media. I know that people now are more on their phones, and obviously social media is a big part of getting the work out there. But I think I've been working on a lot of zines since I started working on more and more stories. And I find it a great way to put the work out there. Obviously, it's not, zines are not there to make money. They're a way to put the work out there because the production is really keep the production cost very low. Of course, if you get a grant or if you get some support, that's great. But if not, keep it very low. You can make it in a poster format. It doesn't have to be a booklet if it's too expensive to print the work. But the whole point is to get the work out there to the people who maybe don't have access to you don't want to always talk to the same people. That's what I'm saying. So if you put it in a certain magazine or publish it in a certain platform, that's always talking to a certain audience. And I think that just putting things out there in a cheap way where people can access it will get your work out there as you want it. And it's just a way to reach out. There's also other cheaper ways that I've seen photographers put the work out there, like projecting the work on houses, in public spaces. This is just totally like getting a projector, maybe getting a small generator and just putting it out there if there's no electricity outlet. And presenting it to the people. So just finding all these different ways to put the work out there is very, very important beyond the websites and beyond social media. And that is also how you get your stories and these issues to be seen and heard.
I love that. Thank you. I know, Michael, you wanted to share something too.
Oh, I was just going to say that often we get caught up in the idea of our work reaching a high volume of people, and we're only successful when that happens. And then I began to realize that I might come across somebody's photo essay that isn't reaching a bunch of people, but it inspires me. So the work that you create isn't about reaching the masses. It's about reaching that person who needs to hear they're not alone or be inspired by what you're doing. So don't be afraid.
Thanks, Michael. Love that.
Just to add on to and to answer Beatrice's question, yeah, I mean, I still completely struggle with the who the heck is going to care about this every day. But to also touch on the previous question, what inspired me to do this was another femme artist of color. I was in the middle of documenting her story, her immigration story from Colombia, and I was filming a documentary for her involving indigenous beekeeping and bringing that here. And while I was out there for a few weeks filming, I was, we were just getting closer, and I was telling her my story, and she was the one who inspired me to realize that, like, when we don't highlight our stories, especially as people of color, like, we are doing the oppressor's work for us by keeping our stories silent and by not honoring our narrative. So that really kind of transformed just like my thought of why this is important and who should care. Even if I grapple with it every day, like just 2 days ago when I was doing this, I'm like, should I really be putting this much effort into this? Like, you go up and down with it every single day, but being able to go back to that time, reminding me that I've done so much labor to help amplify like other important stories, and like listening to the people around me, like the other femme artists and organizers and activists. They're like the ones who really empower me to like remind me that this is important. Yeah. Thanks for the space.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much, Jenny. I really appreciate that. We are at the closing part of this beautiful, what feels like a ceremony, because like I feel like you're all graduating or something, but you're not. It's not over yet. But I want to just ask one last question, and then we can wrap it up with just like individual reflections. And I'm going to start with Nyla with this question, but and open it up to all of you. What does liberation mean to you, and how has the program affected your relationship to it? And I asked this question because this is really like the word that drives my whole soul. Like freedom has always been so important to me from when I was a little kid. Like I didn't learn how to tie my shoes at age 2 just because I wanted to please my parents. Like I just wanted to be free. I just wanted to be free. I got a car as soon as I could, like as soon as I could drive, as soon as I could do like the thing, like I did it just because I wanted freedom. Like I needed to be free. My soul wanted to be free. And so liberation has always been so important to me. I know it's extremely difficult to feel liberated under capitalism and under colonial capitalism. And so it's always that relationship to it's always shifting and changing, and like what does it look like, you know? And so yeah, I'll ask you, Nyla, first, and then if anyone else wants to pop in.
Yeah. Can you hear me, guys? Because the rain is really hard. Okay. Yeah. What does liberations mean to you? Looking back 15 years ago, I grew up as a very conservative Muslim. So liberation is something that is people feel afraid of, that my parents pretty much taught me that is like one of the most banned word ever. So liberations right now mean to me is pretty much about trusting myself, trusting the medicine that I bring to the world, trusting the process, um, bringing the changing, um, like with our own power to unlearn what we learn. So liberations means everything. And what has the program affected to my relationship is about how I can get a safe space. Because most of the, like occasions, people see me as like well, energetic Nyla, or like, like leader or whatever people they consider me of I am. But I have a lot of different side, and everybody here in the reclaiming power and the mentorship pretty much embrace me the way I am. I can be vulnerable because that's part of me, like of releasing everything, every emotions, which I think many people consider of being vulnerable is a weakness, but it's actually part of the biggest strength and power that every human could imagine, because that's like one of the most important part of the healing. So yeah, and then this safe space pretty much set me on every side of me, something a side that I could burn out of a lot of things that I have to be doing, uh like liberations to be like to admit what we have been doing wrong, to learn and unlearn things, to figure out, navigate, because all of us are human trying to, like find our own directions, that we have been, lost because of the colonializations and all of the bad things that happening in the world right now. Um, each of us is trying to actually learn to be human every day. And every each, like everyone in the mentorship pretty much, like have this process made us resonating that we're actually, even though that we're living in different parts of the world, but somehow we're interconnected. And all of the sectional is actually also connected to each other. So to actually think that the worst is actually small, that we're actually the time is actually doesn't matter, where our relationship, our energy is actually bound without any limitations of time and also distance. So yeah, it's everything. I mean, like something that you feel afraid of in turns out to be something that being medicine to you, and what's empower you the most. I think that's what liberation is. And it brings me, like all of the support that I could possibly myself. I'm in the right directions and growing.
Thanks, Nye. Appreciate your take, your perspective. Does anyone want to add on to this question or have anything else they want to share? I like this question a lot. Could talk about this for a long time just because it's just so essential to me. But yeah. Anyone
Maybe
else?
add, um, yeah, it's a little bit about, I sort of, yeah, would say it's also about, yeah, liberating yourself from the what you feel other people expect of you. Part of which is, been shaped, is shaped by colonization, by capitalism, by certain ideas of what success is, what makes you a valuable person, and and a lot of, I mean, like, yeah, a lot of what Nyla said, has said a lot of things throughout this program, as have other people, to really broaden my perspectives on that, and really emphasize that I also have a lot of unlearning to do. I've also internalized a lot of, I think, those kind of those standards and thoughts, and it maybe a little bit like, it makes me think a little bit about, I know the Malcolm X quote, who taught you to hate yourself, and like it's about being able to see that that's something that's outside of you, and it doesn't determine what your value is or what you can bring to the world, and being able to connect with people who are very different in a lot of ways, and have lots of really different and enriching perspectives, but also are going through that, some of those similar processes, has been really invaluable.
Damn, yes. Liberating ourselves from ideas and expectations that we've been conditioned with, or that, we feel the weight of expectation perhaps, and a lot of that conditioning is meant to keep us in line, right? Like it's meant to keep us from dreaming of like a different life, of, um just like knowing what's possible. It's incredible. Like yeah, just seeing how different people think about, this word and this process of liberation. Did anyone else want to add anything to this question before we close? We have an opportunity if you want to respond to it as well. We'll just go around quickly and just close with some final thoughts, reflections, or words. I will finish, and so I'm going to invite Chrissy to start.
So good. I'm just still sitting with what Nyla and Pravina shared on the liberation aspect. There were so many powerful points in there that I was like, oh, wow. I'm also not surprised that I would be drawn to a program that's such a fundamental piece of, because it's been something important to me my entire life. And today has just been absolutely feels so amazing, and to see everyone like what has been shared here today. And I feel just absolutely grateful to hear everything come together, and to be in this space, and to be able to create and create with you all. I will. Do you want me to pick a person? Or yeah, okay, sweet. I'm going to pass it to Jenny.
Dang, what a day this has been. I'm just so super proud of everyone. Everyone has been doing so much work and labor into this. This entire process, even just like coming to the meetings, has been liberating. It just the support honestly is the most, just like the support, the mutual aid of like just sharing energy and love and understanding. All of it has been just super powerful. um, I am like exhausted but inspired like at the same time. um I feel that, but I think like my main like wish is to just like stay connected with everyone so we can help support each other, amplify each other, continue the support happening like throughout the world. I think it's so cool that I have all of these amazing like femme friends around the world that's like outside of my normal network. I'm just, yeah, incredibly inspired, incredibly grateful. I can't wait to see where the rest of our projects go and like where we can take everything. Um, and also just like because there have been like a couple of people in the program that like focus their work around water and stuff. It's like I've always wanted to shoot underwater and like do things underwater, just never really like the means to get all the underwater gear. But it's really cool to be able to see it regularly. I hope to one day pursue it, like hopefully after all of this other stuff. But thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Jenny. Do you want to pass it on to anyone or want me to pick someone?
Oh, there we go. Okay, so I know Nyla Rasha Pravina went, right? I can't, I'm trying to like keep in. Who else went? Or who else needs to go?
Rasha, Pravina, Rasha, Nyla, Chrissy. No, sorry. Rasha, Nyla, Michael.
Okay, okay, okay. Go ahead, Nyla.
What's that again? I cannot hear everyone. It's so strong.
Oh,
Just final
What?
words, final
Oh,
reflection.
final words. The final one is that gratitude. Thank you so much, everyone, for being with me this year. Um, being my safe space. Uh, the people who I can open and share about all of the things happening to me throughout the year. It's been a crazy time for me and all of us, but yet we have each other. We have like amazing people that checking you out, amazing people that not judging with everything that you bring on the table. So I have no other words rather than gratitude and thank you. So that's the closing words for me. And all of us is connected. We're intersectionally connected. Love you guys.
Thank you. Let's go, Michael, and then Rasha.
Final reflections. That's where we're at. I don't want it to end. And I don't mean like just today. I mean like I just want it to keep going forever and ever and ever. To know that it would be really beautiful. That's it.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Oh, you're so sweet. And I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at Nyla and the cats. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet, Michael. And Rasha, yay.
Okay. Um, well, when Danny asked me why do I want to join this program, I was like, I am so like my people are dying, so I don't know what to do. Otherwise, I really need to connect with other people and get inspired. That was I think, one of my answers. So this group and beyond, there's a few other members who are not with us today. It really inspired me, and so I'm really thankful for this inspiration. Um, and yeah, I'm always going to be grateful for all these connections. I know now that Naila has this organization in Indonesia that I can visit, and if one day I am able to to see what she does there, I know that I can maybe explore Laos with Pravina if she's still there, and I'm able to do that. And I know there's a few friends on Turtle Island that I can also visit and share similar values and look at it with that lens, through that lens with a critical eye. So yeah, I'm really grateful for everybody. So thank you so much for bringing me back always to a bit refocus a bit more on on what I'm doing. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Rasha. Thank you, everybody, for being here and for giving the world a little bit of who you are and sharing a little bit about you. And thank you, everyone who's joined us in the audience. I know a few folks had to go, but thank you for sticking it out until the end of this love fest. So it's been really great just like seeing all of you just shining and just standing in your power, like being who you're meant to be. And I want to see all of you continue. And of course, the group will always be here for one another. We are continuing until the first week of January. So don't you worry, we're still here. But I want to encourage the audience, if you're curious or if you know anybody who might be interested, we are taking applications now until the third week of December. And so please feel free to ask questions, email, Instagram. We're at Reclaim Power and reclaimpower.co. So yeah, please stay in touch. And to the group, I wish you nothing but wonderful things ahead and keep doing the amazing work you're doing and being who you are, because the world is so much better as a result of you being here. All right, thank you, everybody. That concludes today's event. Take care. See you soon.